Good morning. It's Monday, May 11th, and I wanted to talk to you today about the collection and enforcement efforts that are ramping up across the country with the IRS and the state of California. So I've spent a lot of time talking with collection agents and with auditors over the last few weeks. And although there's a moratorium on collection and examination activity through the middle of July, it's going to be open season after that. And let me explain why. So the federal government gave away $3 trillion in funds. And we all know nobody in their right mind is going to raise taxes this year given the coronavirus climate. So the government just gave away a lot of money. They aren't going to raise taxes. So the natural conclusion is they're going to get it back through enforcement. And specifically, they're going to go after businesses. So I want to share a couple of things that businesses can do now to protect themselves in the current coronavirus climate. So the first thing that a business can do to protect itself is to get its finances in order and to come up with a projection for how the rest of the year is going to look. I realize that we're dealing with a lot of uncertainty right now. A lot of us are under stay-at-home orders. We don't know exactly when the lights are going to go back on. But using a reasonable projection, you should be able to track kind of what your revenue is going to be for the rest of the year. And if you've got PPP funding or if you've got idle funding, how that's going to impact your decision to carry your business. So the very first thing you need to do whenever you're in a hole is you need to stop digging and figure out where you're at. And having a longer projection, at least through the end of the year, is going to let you know, number one, how much cash is going to come in. Number two, what you project your expenses are. And number three, how much you're going to have left over in profit to devote to any back liabilities, whether they be taxes or other obligations, so you can get your arms around the situation. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to stop the bleeding. So not all liabilities are created equal. So for example, if you accrue payroll tax liability or sales tax liability in particular, those are deemed as trust fund taxes. Those are monies that you hold in trust for somebody else. So when you run a coffee shop and you sell a cup of coffee and you collect the sales tax, that is your customer paying sales tax on a product. You are holding that money in place for the state and you are remitting those funds. So you are not allowed to spend that money. And if you spend that money and you owe that tax liability later, the government will come after you personally for those liabilities. So you need to draw a line between the liabilities that you could be held personally responsible, i.e. trust fund taxes, and other liabilities that your business only may be liable for. And then you need to start prioritizing those liabilities based on who gets paid first. But the important part about this is don't spend money right now that's not yours. And the final thing that you need to do is build a plan. So you've got your revenue projection, you've got your expenses going out, you know what you're going to owe in terms of liability. And even if you've had cash challenges, and a lot of businesses have been really hurting by this. We've had businesses that basically have disappeared overnight. Even if you're $1 million or a couple $1 million in debt right now, there's a way out of this situation. But what it's going to take is it's going to take planning. The lights are going to come back on in the IRS, the state, as of July 15th. So you can take the next 3 months, particularly 3 months where you're going to be out of business, and really build your financial situation to present an offer to the IRS. IRS collection agents are basically going to throw people into two buckets. There's the bucket of people that they can't do anything with, and there's a bucket of people where there's some meat on the bone that they're going to go after. So the more that you can present yourself like bucket one and really minimize yourself as a target for the government, that's the way things are going to go. So it's about building a plan, about minimizing your exposure on the collection side. And then on the audit side, you need to make sure your house is in order. In spite of the chaos that's going on right now, build things to make sure that you're keeping records, that you can pass an examination. There are certain types of businesses that are really going to get hit with a lot of audits come the end of this year and the beginning of next year. So put your documents in place, talk to somebody, and help prepare for what's going to come later. They are going to go after businesses. They need to collect the tax revenue, and you need to prepare yourself for what eventually comes down the pipeline. So today, as an effort to help business owners, we're offering a free tax strategy session. So what we're going to do is it's a 60-minute free consultation. Normally we charge for consultations, but there are so many people that are out there that are in some measure of pain that we as a firm want to do what we can to help people get back on the path to recovery and not make this problem worse. You know, as a tax attorney, I'm still dealing with problems from the 2008 financial crisis. And I don't want to be dealing with problems from this crisis 10 or 15 years down the road. So we're putting together this free strategy session. We're going to sit here, we're going to analyze the way that your business is. We're going to do those projections. We're going to go through your expenses and we're going to build a plan. And if you're the recipient of PPP or EIDL funds, we're going to help spend those monies to maximize your forgiveness and to maximize your tax deductions at the end of the year. If you're not going to have a lot of free cash going around, you might as well minimize your taxes as much as possible. So it's a 60-minute strategy session. We're going to get in, we're going to build a plan, you're going to sit down with me directly, and we're just going to power through this. And if we sit down, we do this together, and we build a plan to get out of this, I promise you, you're going to feel a lot better about the glide path of your business, and you're going to be able to weather this crisis no matter what happens going forward.